Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. Our goal today is to advance the idea of transforming schools into climate action base camps. What would Greta do is the question we posed in our description. But the reality is, not every child can leave school and go on strike like Greta did. So a bold stroke answer to the question is called for. We need to turn schools into places of climate action where kids can grow and prepare themselves for the climate future, their future. I'm Jeffrey Payton, founder of Play Tectonics, a project mission to move education forward on the power of play, specifically play-based learning and communication. We view play as a moving biological force that can turn schools into climate action base camps. Also with me today is my colleague and collaborator, Penelope Fleming. We called the model for doing this the Youth Climate Action Alliance, YCAA. Our objective here is to plant the seeds for developing a prototype with your help. We believe that through play, we can release kids from the factory by turning classrooms into learning habitats. Haley's words break the heart. But kids can surely move the world, but first we need to free them from years of immobility and desk work. Before we can turn schools into base camps of climate activism, we first have to open the learning culture. We want kids like Haley empowered and collaborating, not overwhelmed. With play as the engine, we can start empowering kids into action throughout their education. Again, to emphasize, the kind of play makes all the difference. Play-infused media and communication is the key to unlocking children's power and potential to embody change in their learning environment. To bring two ideas together, the idea of school culture transformation and youth climate action, I'd like to share with you a past event on my journey as an independent scientist. I promise to keep it short. We want to have time to answer questions and explore further. In 2004, I was invited to Copenhagen to make a presentation to brain scientists from around the world. I had taken the art of puppetry and turned it into a language, a play language. Teachers weren't using brain research, and since play has been an important focus of brain science, the scientists wanted to know about play language. In my presentation, I told them that a sheet of construction paper cast into a playful puppet becomes a handheld idea, an organic form of media and communication attached to the hand that could transform the nature of conversation in learning spaces everywhere. I added another idea, the proposition that play is a form of energy. Play energy generated and carried on a wavelength of play. For example, during sustained instances of playful communication, when teachers are using a puppet in hand and captivating the children's attention, the gravitational pull between puppets and kids is strong and predictable enough to sense that a switch is being thrown, or a wavelength of communication is present, transmitting energy. Fast forward to 2020, when a Princeton brain imaging lab actually confirmed my claim of a play wavelength. It took 17 years for scientists to ask if there was something going on between playful communication and babies. But the implications were being missed. The presence of a wavelength opens the door to a broad application of play energy using play media to reach into young minds of all ages. The science of biology and communication is viewable all over the internet. videographic evidence of communication across the species. Okay, so use your imagination here. The waggle dance of honeybees, the worm-like movements of the snapping turtle's tongue to entice passing fish, the winged pollination of butterflies, and the tails of African dogs signaling location during the hunt. So why not this playful, artful agency, this active nature blooming in the hand? A learning culture based in play could be reaching and pollinating the minds of more children than a culture hammered out on the anvil of academics. Classrooms could be habitats of learning and communication, informed by the nature of play. So use your imagination here. These are the scientists in 2004 who were not buying my wavelength. And there are many parents and teachers who were skeptical. But the play wavelength is obviously thriving deep in the minds of children. The pioneering teachers who followed my process and discovered the wavelength for themselves crafted their ideas into paper forms, took them into their classrooms, and hopped onto the wavelength with their own play-based tools in hand. They also became citizen scientists, recording their insights and observations in journalistic form. In the end, each arrived at the same conclusion. Initially, their focus was on the puppets, but the puppets opened their eyes to play. Every child's mind and every learning space has a wavelength. Play is always possible and present, like solar. As play radiates its power, its immersive influence becomes a life force of mental health and intellectual growth. Play in the form of a universal language is in sync with space and time and kids in the universe. Einstein's imagined rides on light beams at age 16 is the same way kids naturally ride the wavelength, in the playground of the mind. We have ambitious plans for advancing play throughout the learning culture. We have 3,000 students from all over the world who have learned the basics of play language, and we're partnering with Neurochild, a 22,000-member brain science consortium based in Sydney, Australia, that's in the process of launch. To our knowledge, turning an art into a screenless communication media is a unique education breakthrough. A hands-on art and play-based learning platform made for homes and classrooms can attract and capture the imagination of parents and be delivered into the hands of kids and adults in cities, towns, and communities across the U.S. and beyond. To prime the engine, play media, like a species of positivity, can be directed and carried into schools as a participatory launching mechanism to advance play in a big way, and in so doing, advance climate action in a big way as well. People's minds need to be open to the potential of kids driving, leading, and contributing their energy and positivity in climate action and the future. If kids, parents, and teachers can march like this, then schools can make climate engagement in principle and practice the overarching lesson for life. If we can understand and accept the big idea of planting trees, then we can plant the seeds of a big idea to get kids involved in climate action. We believe that the idea of transforming schools into climate action base camps has the power to take root in lots of little places to get us to the bigger places fast. Once we have a handful of working models, we believe they will catch on.